Hi, so all my videos are for informational and entertainment purposes, and this time we'll be diving into something that was annoying me recently, namely if there was a biological impulse in us that made us support a disadvantaged competitor, an underdog. I mean, watching these Disney movies we were probably rooting most for the panda, the hunchback and the rabbit, all characters labeled as underdogs. So after searching I stumbled across a paper, The Underdog Effect by psychology professor Nadav Goldschmied, which clearly displays a real phenomenon of our psyche, ultimately tied to our biology, and as worded in his thesis, should be under more scientific examination. The Kern-Aussage or key message of the paper is, the studies find that the students who participated show overwhelming support for a team to win if it was at some sort of disadvantage. Not who they think will win, but which team they would like to see win. Logical, you might think, but that means we have a drive within us. Goldschmied lays down 3 possible motivators of why we are compelled to root for and side with the underdog. There's the Schadenfreude described by Nietzsche, the joy of seeing someone in power that is toppled, which is something we might feel but don't usually express vigorously due to potential social backlash. There's that third-party onlookers could be buying an insurance policy so that we can avoid a greater negative emotional impact and risk experiencing higher surges of joy. This I'll explain a bit more. If the advantaged side loses and we were betting on them, it's more of a blow to our emotions, since we weren't expecting it. The other way is that if a disadvantaged side loses, there is less emotional upset since we were expecting it anyway. And if the disadvantaged side actually wins, against the odds, David versus Goliath, well, those who rooted for him are overcome with joy. And if the advantaged side wins, well, since we were expecting it, the surge of joy is far smaller. And the third is that there could be a justice-based motivation, which I won't go into. Ultimately, these are human constructs, words. I think by measuring the electrical activity and hormone release in our brains, we could better determine the patterns that steer us. Now, people actively use this effect as laid out in the study, people who label themselves as underdogs, to gain higher attention, funding, and appeal from the crowd. Politicians, brands, companies, movements. Those who do this aren't necessarily acting out a plan, in my opinion, but can also just be going with their gut feeling. Good-natured people need to understand that this is an impulse that we all have, and in the best case install an underdog effect safety, when others try to abuse the effect. Finally, quite an interesting finding the paper made, which is how the conditions of low resources versus success history affected the choosing of the underdog. Find that out by reading it yourself, links in the description.